Seattle, Washington is considering a bill to address its crowd control policy. Spencer Polly with the Center Square is here to tell us more. Spencer, what is this bill?
So, some background is necessary here in this case. Seattle Police Department has been working to end a federal government surveillance, and this stems from a 2012 court order due to an investigation of the department's policies and practices at that time. Now, that's been a long time ago, and since then, the department has still been under surveillance. But last year, a federal judge determined that Seattle Police Department significantly complied with directives regarding use of force, behavioral health instances, but the court order wasn't fully resolved because there's a crowd management policy that still needed to be developed. Now, that's something that is this council bill that is currently in committee will address. It would essentially restrict the use of less lethal tools in order to disperse crowds. And this would allow incident commanders to respond to more serious incidents. This is something that the city doesn't really have fully in place. There is a temporary policy regarding use of force during crowd management regarding protests, riots, whatever stage of a protest can get. And believe me, Seattle has plenty of these, dating back to 2020 when we had the George Floyd protests, which really divided the city and the police department. And so this is a big step here for the police department to take.
There's an amendment one of the city council members is looking to add. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Seattle City Councilmember Cathy Moore we're talking about. Now, when this bill was first introduced in December, she was pretty alarmed by the use of blast balls. Now, blast balls, for anyone that doesn't know, they're rubber devices that can contain tear gas or pepper spray, but they create a loud sound or a bright flash, and this is just used in more emergency cases to disperse crowds if they grow to become violent. Now, Cathy Moore is proposing amendments that would basically leave Mayor Bruce Harrell to declare a civil emergency and then separately authorize the use of blast balls. And there would have to be daily approvals from there on out for continued use of it. These amendments would also limit the blast balls to be thrown underhand, away from people, and about minimum 10 yards away. All this results from recent use of blast balls by the Seattle Police Department. They were used in protests in 2015, but most notably in 2020. That was during the George Floyd protests, and I think a lot of people are familiar with the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and that is a big one. In fact, last year, the city reached a $10 million settlement with over 50 protesters from that George Floyd protest. And basically, Cathy Moore here is saying the goal of these amendments is to just reduce physical risk because people were injured from blast balls. They had severe burns on their ankles, one reported. But there's also just the legal risk. This is $10 million that could have gone to something else, but instead had to be gone to settlements because of the use of these blast balls.
And this is still in committee right now, but there may be some more developments this week. What should we expect going forward?
Well, this bill and these amendments from Cathy Moore are going to be discussed in the Tuesday Public Safety Committee meeting. We could see a vote on that, and then it would be sent to the City Council. But I think just based on some of the concerns council members have, Cathy Moore isn't alone in the concerns of these less lethal use of force for crowd disbursement tools. There are some other ones that spoke against it during the city council meeting last month. So we'll have to see what happens during the Tuesday committee meeting. But, the city was really trying to move on from this, federal court surveillance. So, but I don't think they want to rush this. I know a lot of, residents are probably keeping an eye on this too. So we could see a lot of public commentators talking about how this needs to be addressed. And basically we need to fix the relationship between the Seattle Police Department and its residents, and hopefully a better crowd enforcement policy will help in that take a positive step in that direction.
Well, thank you for your insights on this story, Spencer. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.